Hello and welcome to Unschooled. You are here with Mandee and the beautiful Lexi.
Hello.
Lexi has a beautiful chime to ring Unschooled into session today. So lovely. So before we ground in and open up this lovely, what episode is this? Episode number 3, I think, of Unschooled. We have a beautiful topic today, and that topic is going to be trust. So if you're cozying on in or tuning in, we invite you to take a moment, take a breath, and to invite in the concept, the idea of trust and what that looks like, and maybe what you have been taught about it, what you wish you might want to unlearn about it, all the things, all the ways we like to explore with Unschooled here. We like to explore all the ways the pendulum swings. So see how the word trust resonates with you as we open up this session today. You ready to ground in, Lex?
I'm ready, Mandee. Lead the way.
Beautiful. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and release. Deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and release. Last one. Deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and release. Angels, archangels, spirit guides, helper beings of the highest good, our higher selves, creator, ancestors, and sea goddess, thank you so much for being with Lexi and I, and each and every one of you who tune in to this episode of Unschooled. We ask you to surround us in white and blue light and protect us as you drop in healing notes and light codes and sweet memories and messages that we all may need at this time. Thank you for holding us in a safe container as we learn and relearn and program and unprogram throughout our journey. And so it is. Amen. Aho.
Aho. Thank you. I love just taking that time to ground in and be present in this space together.
I feel like if each one of us humans can do that at least once a day, just give ourselves 30 seconds to a minute to do a few actual true deep breaths. We all hold so much stress all the time and we're moving from one thing to another. We don't just take a breath. And that's one of the things we line up for most when we want to come down here to Earth School and we want to come down here to this realm and we want to incarnate and experience like all the physicality and sensuality here. One of the first things that we want to experience is breath, taking a breath. You know, we're not able to do that when we're up in the heavens and the non-physical and our light bodies and bouncing around and many other planets. It's one of the rare things that we get to experience while incarnating in these vessels.
And it's so beautiful when you get in tuned with your breath, the magic that it can hold. You've taught me over the past few years, you know, it's to exhale when I want to release things, to really use the power of my exhale to release things too. And that's been one of the best gifts for lessons that you've taught me. So it is just so simple, so easy, and so powerful.
It's potent, you know, we're really intentional. And if we don't pay attention to our bodies, we don't pay attention to our breaths, then, you know, our higher selves and the powers that be will teach us. And for me, I wasn't speaking my truth. I went through this whole dark night of the soul in 2017. And I had to go to speech therapy because I had a vocal cord dysfunction to learn how to breathe again, breathe while talking, breathe while exercising, what to do when my vocal cords dysfunction. It was wild, but it was all part of my soul path and part of remembering the precious gift of the breath of life. It's a real thing. And, coming out of the shadows of this whole, experience we just had with this COVID chapter, we all experienced, being traumatized by an invisible enemy. And every single one of us had our breath and our lungs, threatened. And not only that, but lungs and the breath are very connected to grief as well. And there was a lot of separation and sadness. And one of the best ways that we can heal coming out of that chapter and bringing in this next chapter here in the now is by breathing. It's so simple, and each and every one of us can spend time and attention and energy doing it if we so choose.
Yes. And, we kind of, I feel like, take breath for granted. I know I always did until recently. We're not really exactly taught that this thing that just we get to do down here, how special it is. So that's part of our unschooling, that reschooling that has been vital for me, and I know a lot of others too. Yeah. It can carry over in so many different ways. I notice now to just drop in sometimes randomly when I start to feel overwhelmed, when I have a question, when I get excited even, or when I want to really soak in a moment too. Just, it's magical.
Okay. Well, speaking of magic, one of my favorite energies and magical, potent energies and recipes to work with is that of trust. And it's a really big theme that's coming up for so many people right now, for us, as a collective. And Mercury retrograde, we're kind of over the hump in it. We've got like another week or so left, a little post shadow. But there's an opportunity to dive back in and to learn how to integrate trust in our lives, whether that's trust with yourself, with others, with something you're doing, with God and the universe and the angels. The angels want to work on trust with you all day, is all I can say about that. But it's a really big theme I've been noticing. How's that been resonating with you?
Oh man, girl, trusting the process. Trusting in the universe. I really felt like this retrograde has been that time to remember to trust in this process. A lot of dark things. It's been, I feel like, a rough retrograde for so many, but we forget that we need that. And we got to remember to trust in the process, right? We need to go through that dark for that light. And that's what retrograde's about, right? Shining that dark, or shining the light on the dark, and trusting in this process. So for me, it's been learning to trust the process, that the challenges all have a lesson. Learning to trust what is, coming is all for our highest good.
Always, I had a lot of things that came up, and a little bit of heartache, some rearranging of friends and relationships, some good friend that's going to be moving away, all kinds of just different changes. And there's always purpose to your pain. And if you find yourself where you're feeling sad or separate or hurt or whatever it is, I always invite you to kind of ride that wave and sit through it for a little while. Or if, something happens and you're at work and you can't feel the heartache at that time, to sit with it a little later. Because a lot of times if we just let it bleed, if we let it burn, if we let it go through its course, then on the other side, we come out with expansion. And it's almost like it's breaking us open into another version of ourselves with a different perception and perspective, and an opportunity to step more into unattachment and to live and let live. And to, even if it was the worst thing in the world that happened to you, I work with so many people who have been through hell and back, and each of us have our own stories about how we have been to hell and back. And even if it's the worst thing you experienced, there's often some pain, there's some purpose to that pain. And if you allow it inspiration and creativity and opportunity to learn and to co-create in your own lives, and, and dance with others.
Yes. You speak about, that sitting with it. When you feel something, sitting with it. I have noticed that if I do not sit with it, I try to stuff it down, ignore it. It always ends up popping up, rearing its head until I do finally sit with it.
Never fails. You can't ignore, you can't hide from your own soul. Like this whole thing, this whole spiritual journey, it's all you. You're the only one who can see the signs, who can feel the things that happen, who know, like if you're screwing up or if you're doing good or whatever it is, like you're the only one who knows.
Yeah. Yeah. And this ties so perfect with the trust, because again, it's trusting in the process that this is coming up for a reason and you're dealing with it for a reason to get to the other side of it. And so it kind of, that trust, having that trust that it's happening for a reason, to lean into it makes it not so scary when you're able to realize this is happening for a reason. I'm going to come out on the other side of it stronger, having learned a lesson. It helps, I feel like, allow yourself to trust that process, right? Trust the process.
Absolutely. And the other thing is not only trust the process, but like a lot of times when we're finding ourselves in the raw and the lonely and we find ourselves all alone, I was part of a beautiful Women's Day retreat this past weekend. And we were talking and I asked a question about how many women had experienced, wanting to call their best friend, their mom, whoever it is to help them, trying to find help in every single way and no one answers. And you feel like it's the time you need it the most. And you're like, I find a soul to help me. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, girl, have I ever.
I feel like those are the raw, real opportunities with your soul, where your angels and your higher self are telling you, you got this. And you can hold on to us and pray to us and ask us to, hold you and shield you and show you the way and support you and help you to, if you got to bleed for a little while, help you to bleed out and then help you to heal up on whatever it is. A lot of times when in those moments, what we want to do is we want to place blame on others. Like, you didn't answer your phone when I called you, and where were you? And I needed you. When really it was we needed ourselves and our higher selves, and the universe and the angels were trying to show us that, we feel alone or we feel at rock bottom, but it's because we're there to find our own light and to not take the influence, even if it's people we love, from those around us, so that we can find our truest self and to learn how to find trust in ourselves.
Yes.
Thing, and it's something that's uncomfortable, and that's why it's such a beautiful topic here on Unschooled, because how much have we been taught to trust ourselves and others in our society and religions and schools and whatnot? I can't think of things, although I was very privileged to be involved with a lot of outdoor adventure activities and learned how to do trust falls and things like that as a young kid, and ropes courses and stuff. And
we did leadership together. I remember many a leadership, what were they called? Because we would do these overnight.
We did this thing called peer leadership training.
Yes, you trained me.
Well, Lexi's just a couple years younger than me, so you're like 2 years younger than me in school. So I was probably like a counselor, and you were probably like a counselor in training type thing.
Yeah,
that thing
it was amazing.
We got to learn how to meditate. We got to learn how to do trust falls. We got positive affirmations. There was a lot of really cool seeds that our little soul paths led us on, and we got to experience that. Though we were introduced to those as kids, we both went through our own bullshit and traumas and dramas and things, and we both dimmed our lights for a long time. But those seeds that were planted long ago, they were there to remember and to come back to, and it's pretty cool.
Exactly. And one of the things too, like you talk about how we went our own ways. The seeds were planted, and then we went down through so many different paths and then came back. And when you're going down those paths and when life seems crazy and you don't know, right? When you're in that moment, we're talking about it having gone through kind of on this other end of it. But if you are actually in that moment, it is so scary. And it feels so overwhelming that sometimes it's hard to know what to do. I remember I used to freeze up. And be like petrified and not know what to do. I'd feel so overwhelmed by emotions, so overwhelmed by just everything, feeling like I didn't know what to do. Like, I don't know. I need help. And that whole learning to trust in yourself, right? That to breathe. That was like the first step, learning that, right? To then just in that moment, breathe. Go within and breathe, right? Trust in your breath. Just take it back just to focusing on just your breath. what a difference that made. As soon as I learned that tool, that response mechanism, the growth from these moments, that's where I feel like they started, that change finally started to happen. And again, it's that trust, learning to just trust in your breath, trust in yourself, because those moments can be so scary, especially if you're somebody that suffers from depression or anxiety. It can feel so lonely, so dark, so like end of the worldish. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't feel like you see a light. You feel like there's no light at times.
Many of us have sat there. Even the sunniest of people who might not want to admit it, I think many of us have sat there, and it's important to sit in the dark sometimes and just sit there and say, hey, I see you, like, what's going on here? And then learning how to pull yourself out of it when you're ready.
And it's not a sign of weakness. There's nothing wrong with you, and you feel like there is something so wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a part of the process, right? It's a part of the process. Just know there's nothing wrong with you if you are there or you have experienced it, and that's okay. And it's not a sign of weakness at all. It's where that strength, where your strength and your perseverance and your resilience, right? That's where your opportunity for that to shine.
Yes, absolutely. What are some of your favorite tools for learning trust?
Oh, so let me tell you, this is a game changer. Trust is hard, especially when you've experienced so much mistrust. Do you know what I mean? When you've had so many things happen to you where you feel like you can't trust seems so like such a scary thing almost, right?
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's going within, learning to listen to yourself, right? Trust what is your heart saying? What is your gut saying? Like, what is your intuition? That to me is the key, especially when there's so much outside chatter sometimes, right? That, I mean, there can be like opposing positions pulling you all different ways, all different, so many things to take into consideration. So the trust of just going within and trusting yourself, that breath work too. That's how you get there. I feel like that's how you go within.
I agree. We have to unfortunately wrap up our episode here shortly because we are celebrating summer solstice here at the Goddess Temple, and there's a lot of wonderful things moving and shaking and happening. But
so celebrating summer solstice, what is something everybody could do to celebrate summer solstice?
Honestly,
with a little something.
One of my favorite things to do is to take a few moments to yourself and go over to 5 to 10 things that light you up, and see if you can sow some of those into your summer season, and see if you can enjoy this time of growth and harvest and extended time of life, and set an intention around that.
I love it.
Love it too. And I love you and all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm sending so much love and light, and thank you, Lexi, for holding space.
Thank you. And everybody have a good summer solstice. I hope you guys have a great summer solstice, and we'll see you guys soon.
And if you don't already, please like, share, follow us here on Sea Goddess Healing Arts. This show is called Unschooled. We'll have new episodes coming to you each week, and it is such an honor to hold space.
Let us know, what do you think about trust? What's trust mean to you?
What does trust mean to you? And when you're having a hard time trusting, I always invite you to take a few moments and ask your angels to come in and use you, show you the way, help you to be protected, and to help you to find focus. And if you're really having a hard time, just go over 10 things you're grateful for and let your energy start to transmute and transition.
Ooh, it's some of my favorite tools. Thank you, Mandee.
Awesome. Love you all. Take such good care. Bye.